Good morning, Brewers Nation. Welcome back to Brew Pod Between the Lines podcast. This is your host, Caden Adsit. And Brewers end up losing 2 out of 3 at home against the New York Yankees. Really just a couple of rough games in this series overall. Great environment. I was able to attend all 3 games in person this weekend, and it really was. It was a good environment. Fans showed up very well. They had a giveaway on Saturday, which was very exciting. And a couple pretty much sellouts on Saturday and Sunday's game, and a pretty decent attendance there on Friday as well. So all told, thank goodness we have the roof, because otherwise I'm not certain that we would have been able to play any of these 3 games this weekend. Certainly Friday and Sunday likely would not have happened due to the inclement weather, but Saturday at least had warmed up, but there was still some rain and precipitation in the forecast in the surrounding area as well. So, yeah, not quite exactly the weekend we were hoping for, but nonetheless, there's still some positive things to take away. Starting pitching really is becoming the struggle here, which I think we all kind of assumed was going to happen, considering how many injuries the pitching staff is dealing with right now. Wade Miley got confirmed that it was a UCL tear in that elbow, so he will now be out with a season-ending Tommy John surgery, which is not ideal by any means for this staff. So we're already down 1 starting pitcher for the remainder of the season. Pat Murphy came out and said yesterday it looks like DL Hall, both DL Hall and Christian Yelich are starting to progress. So hopefully we're able to get DL Hall back. Hopefully he's able to start pitching with some consistency and bring some positive things there to our rotation. And then Christian Yelich, no doubt, is a big missing piece right now for our offense. You know, all said and told, our offense is still managing pretty well. Went through a stretch there with some rough games, but they've been able to do a pretty good job lately of scratching across runs so far to start this homestand. Got some guys, seems like a new guy every day, kind of carrying the offense. But to be able to get Yelich in there, put him back in the 3-hole, it's going to be big for our offense, and probably, honestly, just relax some of the offensive guys that probably feel a little bit of a burden, honestly, kind of feeling like they have to carry this offense right now. So going to be huge to get him back. Hopefully he's able to return in the same, or at the same level that he was before his admission to the injury list, but nonetheless, hopefully we're able to get him back and at least swing the bat well, have a good plate discipline like he has throughout his career, put some stress on those pitchers getting on base and whatnot, and we'll go from there. So, and I'm sure it'll take him a little bit to get back into a groove being off for so long. It's not easy for these guys to come up and see MLB pitching right away. Obviously, Yelich has seen a lot in his career, so hopefully, and he's dealt with some injury stints in the past, so hopefully he's able to return with no issues and hopefully completely mitigate that lower back injury from affecting him as the season progresses, because he's definitely been a big hit to our offense so far in this season. But so yeah, the real question is, for the Brewers right now, I think, is what can we do to improve our starting pitching? Because Freddie Peralta, he's the ace. As long as he can stay healthy, that's going to be a big key to holding our rotation together, which so far hasn't been any injuries or anything like that. Colin Rea is another guy that's been really solid so far this year. Had a little bit of a rough start there on Friday, but all told, still pretty good. If he can try to come to limit the home run ball, that's really been the big thing. That's been the difference in his game so far that we saw last year and into this year is he is allowing quite a few home runs, and that's what most of his runs are due to, including all 5 of those earned runs that he had on Friday, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, were all via the home run ball. So if he can at least limit some of that, you hope, the numbers he's posting so far, he's 2-0 with a 2.35 ERA, so he's still pitching pretty well, all told, but hopefully he's able to continue a little bit of what we've seen and hopefully able to limit some of those home runs, because he's definitely another big piece, I think, to this pitching rotation so far this year. Like I said, DL Hall, hopefully he's able to return, start actually giving us some some positive outings, some long inning outings that we saw from him a little bit in spring training. I think he's kind of a guy, he's still adapting to that starting pitching role, so it's going to take him a little while, but we've definitely seen some positive things, but also still some negative things that he's had to work on prior to falling on the injured list. But hopefully we're able to see him come back in the next week or so from that injury stint there. Joe Ross, he's shown some stuff up and down. He's shown at times that he can be one of the better starters in rotation, but then with his start on Saturday, he kind of bounced back into struggling with command, falling behind hitters, leaving some pitches right over the plate. So kind of an interesting thing from there, what we're going to see from him. And then Jacob Junis, not sure exactly with the injury that he dealt with on the field a week ago in Pittsburgh. I'm not sure exactly how long he's supposed to be out. So, and we only got to see him just the one time this year so far. Aaron Ashby we might see back at some point this season from AAA. I mean, Tobias Myers right now, I think, is putting together, for his 2 first starts in the big leagues, I think he's put together some really positive starts. Went 5 innings in Pittsburgh of only 1 earned run ball. And he showed some really good things yesterday, too. Even though he gave up 4 earned runs on a couple home runs, which was really the story of this weekend against the Yankees, just could not limit that home run ball. He only gave up 4 hits, and after the home run he allowed to Aaron Judge in the first inning, he cruised through the second, third, and fourth innings. He really did well, and he was commanding well. He was able to get ahead of batters with first pitch strikes. I think it was looking up on that scoreboard that they put some new information on the new scoreboards. I think it was 15 out of 17 or 16 out of 18 times in this game. So he really did a good job with getting ahead of batters. And then I think what we saw in that 5th inning was they kind of took advantage of that, started swinging earlier in the counts, and ran into a little bit of trouble there. But really, he was able to tally 5 strikeouts in this one. So I think he had a positive game in this start, and I think he might actually be a key piece to this rotation if he can just, get a little bit more used to pitching on a big league mound. He's definitely shown us some positive things from that standpoint that we've been able to see. And then yeah, like Bryce Wilson right now, we'll see him again tonight against the Tampa Bay Rays, which we'll also talk about some of those matchups here as we wrap up. But you just kind of wonder who's going to be the next guy that we're able to fill this spot. There's been a lot of conversation around the Brewers looking into Trevor Bauer, which I think would make sense, but I think if the Brewers were already going to do it, they would have done it, or already at least, looked into it or provided an offer of some point. And then again, no other teams are doing it, so there's got to be something that is restricting that from happening. But that's an option. Vince Velasquez, I saw, is still a free agent. He's had some stints with the Phillies and Pirates. I think he would be a potential option, barring any injuries. I was trying to look that up. I don't think he is dealing with any injuries as of right now. I know he had an injury in the middle of the year last year and then kind of didn't return after that. But from what I'm aware of, he's all healthy, back to being healthy right now. So if we can find somebody on the free agency list that we can pick up, or even make a trade for a AAA prospect or something in some other aspect who is looking positive, I think the Brewers are going to have to make a move like this. Otherwise, what we saw this weekend with the high run totals for the Yankees, I think could unfortunately become a little bit of a continuation, as when our record might start to deteriorate a little bit more than we'd want. So definitely going to be a point of emphasis here coming up in the coming weeks to see how some of these guys return from the injured list, see if we can strengthen our starting rotation at all, because all told, our bullpen has been very strong this year. They've been very positive. But the problem that I'm seeing so far is the starting pitching. We haven't gotten enough of these long starts that go 5, 6+ innings, and the bullpen is just getting completely burned out right now. And I think that's part of the reason that we saw some struggle even in yesterday's game. Friday, they were pretty good. Bullpen was very reliable in this one. Saturday, not much of a bullpen day to be had, considering the runs that the Brewers pitching staff gave up. Joe Ross and then Diego Vieira came in, which he's been pretty solid so far this year out of the bullpen, but he struggled, gave up 4 runs. And then after that, it was just kind of basically a utility guy. We threw Jansen Junk in there, which he had a couple of rough outings on Saturday and Sunday's game to start his season in the major league. So kind of the same struggle we saw from him in spring training, and just a lot of poor pitching in this one. But hopefully something that the Brewers are able to fix, get some more length out of the starting rotation to kind of savor the bullpen for the later innings and at least keep them healthy and not from being burned out. But with that, we'll jump into a little bit of the in-game analysis here. Won't try and spend too much time here on this. But Friday, an amazing game to be at to start this series. A lot of excitement in this one, a lot of back and forth. Colin Rea got roughed up, like I said, in this start, ends up giving up 5 earned runs. But Brewers were down 2-0, second inning. Joey Ortiz hits his first career home run. Bomb to left field, 400-plus feet for him. Blake Perkins follows that in the 4th inning with a 2-run home run. And then we saw Willy Adames in the 10th. He hits a game-tying single. And then eventually Joey Ortiz hits a walk-off in the 11th inning to score Owen Miller and eventually win this game for the Brewers. So really a very exciting game to be at. Environment was great in this one. I think it was attendance of 32,000 people here on Friday, which was the lowest of the series, but still pretty full house for the most part, all told. And Brewers bullpen did fantastic. And basically for the first 4 or 5 innings between these two teams, it was basically a home run derby. I think there was 5 home runs for the first 4.5 innings of this one. 3 by the Yankees, 2 by the Brewers, and just a lot of back and forth and a lot of excitement on that end. But yeah, really good stuff from the bullpen. We saw Hudson, Peguero, and Milner all throw 1 inning of no-run ball. So really good outings from them once again. And then how about Jared Koenig? He is really showing some good things from the left-hander position out of the bullpen so far this year. He ends up picking the win after going 2 innings pitched, both in the 10th and 11th innings, where a runner starts on second base. In that 10th inning, Giancarlo Stanton ended up leading off the inning with a leadoff double, scored that run, making it 6-5 at that point. But then great job by Jared Koenig bouncing back, limiting the Yankees to no more runs in that inning, which pretty much saved the game as far as I'm concerned in this stance. And then he ends up making a really nice play in the 11th inning to cut the runner down at home and squeaked out of that 11th inning with no earned runs, which ended up allowing the Brewers to win this game in the 11th with a Joey Ortiz walk-off base hit to left field. So really good game, career day for Joey Ortiz. He finishes with 4 RBIs and a couple knocks in this one. So really good to see him have a good offensive day, hit his first career home run. And it just seems like this is how this has been this year for the Brewers, and I really love it. It just seems like it's been a new guy every day offensively. It's been pretty consistent pitching from the bullpen so far this year. So we're really seeing some good things. It's just awesome to have a new guy show up every day, make the big hit, make the big defensive play, whatever it may be. And today in Friday's game, it was Joey Ortiz was the spotlight from the offensive standpoint. So really good to see him have a good day and excited to see what he's able to produce for us the rest of the season as he's begun to clean up his defense at third base. I know we had talked about some of the emphasis on the errors that he was making earlier this year, but I think all told he's put together a very solid third base in the last week and a half or so, and I think he's cleaned up a lot of those throwing errors that he was making early on. So good to see him clean that up. Hopefully we're able to see that continue and his offense continue to pick up as he gets more comfortable and familiar with some of these major league pitchers. So yeah, that was that game. Brewers win that one 7-6. Carrying on into Saturday and Sunday, both of these games, Brewers pitching allows 15 runs. A little bit of some rough defense in this one. Shooting back to Saturday specifically, Joe Ross gives up a 3-run home run in the first inning to Alex Verdugo. Following that, Rhys Hoskins answered with his 6th home run of the season, now the leader for home runs on the Milwaukee Brewers so far. So he hit a solo shot there in the first. And then Ross ends up giving up 3 more in the 3rd inning, ends up with 6 earned runs total in this one. Like I said, Giago Vieira gives up 4 earned runs in 1 inning of work. So not very good things from him that we saw in this one. And then same thing that we've had this struggle with for the Brewers offense too in the last couple seasons is the left-handed pitching. Brewers offense just continues to struggle against left-handers. Carlos Rodon for the Yankees, he ends up going 6 innings on 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. And really, his pitch count was low enough. He could have gone a 7th or 8th inning the way that he was pitching. But no reason with the lead at that point. I believe the Yankees were up 10-1, or it may have even been 11-1 at this point. And no reason for Aaron Boone to leave him in there for the Yankees and risk potentially, having an injury or something to that arm. So makes sense to have him pulled after 6 innings. He gets the win in this one, and the Brewers' trend of struggling against left-handed pitching continues. So hopefully we're able to see some improvement. Rhys Hoskins hits a home run. Like I said, he's one of the guys that we specifically brought in, not only to provide power from the right-handed side, which he's done so far this year, but specifically he tends to mash pretty well against left-handed pitching. So we did see that in the 1st inning, but after that it was pretty much a struggle the rest of the way for this offense. Ended up getting a couple runs in the last inning off of the utility player that the Yankees put in just to save some of their bullpen. We saw Owen Miller pitch a couple innings in this one. He ends up giving up 4 earned runs as well. But that made it a little bit exciting as a fan sitting there in the end of the game, watching some utility guys be able to pitch on the mound. Always gets the excitement up. And honestly, I was pretty surprised and proud of the Brewers faithful for the most part. Seemed like a lot of fans still stuck around with the lead at one point being 15-1. A lot of people could have easily, 6 or 7 inning when it was down by 10 and the game was pretty much over at that point, could have gotten up and ended up leaving early, but I do like and appreciate fans that stay through and through no matter the score, as we did in this one as well. So not too many positive things here in Saturday's game. Tried to clean the slate for Sunday, but unfortunately had a little bit of the same luck in this one. Not quite as representative. The score here, not quite as representative of the actual game. Pretty much a competitive game going through the 5th inning, and then the Brewers ended up having a little bit of a call go against them there in the 6th inning. That ended up leading to a big inning for the New York Yankees here. But diving into some of the specifics, like I said, Tobias Myers gets his 2nd start of his career, first at home in front of the Milwaukee faithful. He goes 5 innings pitched on 4 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. So all told, I still think a pretty solid start for him. Maybe try to limit some of those walks in the next one, but you also have to look up and down. This Yankees lineup is a very powerful lineup, and it especially for a rookie, probably a little bit nerve-wracking pitching against some of these guys and trying to work on the edges and not trusting your stuff quite as much. So I'm assuming a little bit of a reason why we saw some of these walks in this one. But overall, I think he had a pretty good game. 2 out of the 4 hits against him were home runs in this one. One by Aaron Judge in the 1st inning, and then a 3-run birthday home run in the 5th inning by Anthony Volpe for the Yankees. And at this point, it's 4-0 going into the bottom of the 5th. Marcus Stroman struggling a little bit. Brewers had several opportunities in the earlier innings to capitalize. 3rd inning, Sal Frelick had a leadoff triple with William Contreras, Willie Adames, and Jake Bauers to follow. Weren't able to score him, so something that, a position specifically the Brewers would have really liked to score in that case. There were 2 other innings, 2nd and 4th inning, where the Brewers also had several runners on base, weren't able to cash in. But then finally, bottom of the 5th inning, down 4-0, gets Sal Frelick leads the inning off with a 4-pitch walk, followed by an infield hit by Contreras. So we got 1st and 2nd, nobody out. Willie Adames gets an RBI double to right center field, and then Jake Bauers hits his 2nd home run of the season a 3-run game-tying home run at that point in the game, making it 4-4 going into the 6th inning. And then we see Abner Uribe come in. He starts the inning with a walk to Aaron Judge. So something that we've seen, a continuous struggle for Uribe coming in and allowing walks. Once again, though, he was dealing with arguably the 4 best hitters in the Yankees lineup. He had Judge. I guess he did get around Soto, but he had Judge, Stanton, Rizzo, and Verdugo here in this part of the lineup. And really had a play in Verdugo's hit after the leadoff walk to Aaron Judge, which should have been a double play, but a botched call by the umpires on an interference that should have been called by Aaron Judge. He raised his hand sliding into second base and basically swatted the ball that could have been should have been a double play to make it 2 outs, nobody on in the 6th inning. Uribe was able to get the second out, keeping the runner on first before the inning kind of just fell apart here in this one. Ended up surrendering a walk to Anthony Rizzo. And then after that, a lot of base hits following that. And then Peguero came in and took a while for him to escape this inning. Yankees end up putting up 7 in this inning and just kind of caromed into a really poor inning that decided this game. So MLB came back and admitted that the umpires made the wrong call, but nothing that we can do now to go back and change it. You wish that, the call would have been made, could have completely turned this game around. Brewers seemed like they had the momentum after putting up 4. Would have been a 2-out, no runners on situation for Uribe. Might have had more confidence in getting that 3rd out and just not as much of a threat on the base paths, but nothing that we can do now. Go back, still a lot of things that Brewers pitching could have done a lot better. There were some plays defensively, some wild pitch by Peguero and also a passed ball by Contreras. So just really it seemed like it got to a point in this inning where the Brewers started to hang their heads after getting blown out, in the game on Saturday. I can understand having a little bit of that mentality after the Yankees started to put up a big inning and kind of lose confidence. But wish that we would have been able to string together and just not allow these big run innings, because that was certainly what kind of affected these losses as the game just kind of got away from us in these big innings. So, yeah, not too much more to talk about here in this one as far as the game goes. Definitely some things that we can work on the pitching side. Need to get some deeper starts from the starting pitching. And I think this was really the one game where most of the relievers that were usually so dependable on really struggled in this one. Like I said, struggles from Uribe, struggles from Peguero, and then we had Jansen Junk come back in for his second appearance, and he struggled in this one pretty mightily too. So just not quite the game that we were hoping for, not really the series that we were hoping for at home, but we hope to bounce back here against the Tampa Bay Rays in this 3-game set that we have starting later tonight. So yeah, the big takeaways from this series, I think, from the pitching side, allowing 18 walks and 10 home runs. We know that the Yankees up and down the lineup are a very powerful hitting team, and they showed it in this one. Like I said, the 10 home runs. But the walks are something that the pitching staff needs to eliminate, at least to the extent that they allowed in this series. 18 walks just creates so much traffic on the base paths, puts pressure, high-stress pitches on the pitchers. You have to be more perfect with some of your stuff, and just even tightens up the defense a little bit too and makes it difficult for them as well. So definitely something going into this next series and going into the rest of the season, something that hopefully we do not see quite as many walks and free bases allowed to the opposing team. But basically the big takeaways that I thought in this series that really kind of put the pitching behind and allowed so many runs for the Yankees. But all told, Brewers still remain half a game ahead in the NL Central following this weekend. Brewers are now 17-10. That is their current record. Cubs fall to 17-11 after losing 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox. They will next face 4 against on the road against the New York Mets. Reds fall to 15-13 after losing 2 of 3 from the Texas Rangers. They will begin a 3-game series against the San Diego Padres later tonight on the road. The Pirates moved to 14-15 after losing 2 of 3 from the Giants, and they will begin a 3-game set on the road against the Athletics here later this evening. And then the Cardinals, the only team in the NL Central this weekend that came away with a series victory. They steal 2 of 3 from the New York Mets, and they will begin a 2-game series in Detroit against the Tigers here this week. So pretty poor play from the NL Central all week. Definitely some tough matchups. The Reds going up against the reigning Texas Rangers. Definitely not an easy matchup for them. So I think walking away from Texas stealing 1 game is really a win for them. The Cubs, facing the Red Sox. The Red Sox are definitely no joke this season, especially going up against the road in Fenway. Definitely not an easy stadium to play in. I'm sure they would not have liked to have gotten blown out on Saturday as bad as they did, losing 17-0, but nonetheless, they're looking to bounce back against the New York Mets in that 4-game series. So just some tough matchups for the entire NL Central here this weekend, or this past weekend, I guess I should say. And so we'll see where that leads into following this week. But diving into more, as we usually do, I'm going to dive into the matchups here, starting tonight against the Tampa Bay Rays for the Milwaukee Brewers. Tonight, Bryce Wilson, who is 2-0 on the year, will make his 3rd start in the Brewers rotation, going up against Ryan Pepio for the Tampa Bay Rays. Tuesday's matchup, Rays pitcher still has yet to be announced. Will be going up against Freddie Peralta, so we'll have to see and hope that he bounces back in his home start. Brewers so far this season, like I've mentioned before, are 5-0 with Freddie on the mound so far this year. So hopefully we're able to keep that trend alive and collect another victory in this one on Tuesday. And then moving into the series finale on Wednesday, Colin Rea, who is still 2-0 after a no decision on Friday, will face up against Zach Eflin of the Tampa Bay Rays. And Colin Rea will also be looking for a little bit of a bounce-back start after getting roughed up a little bit on that start on Friday. So going to be some good matchups in this one. Tampa Bay has a pretty potent offense as well. So hopefully the Brewers are able to pitch a little bit better in this one. Definitely don't want to give up 30 runs in 2 days like they did in the last couple games. So it would be awesome to see them bounce back tonight and give up 1-2 runs or even have a shutout. I would love to see that. I'm sure all Brewers fans would love to see that. And that would just be nice after a couple of tough losses here the last couple days at home to bounce back and collect a victory here and shift the momentum kind of back towards how the Brewers have been playing baseball here recently. So, yeah, hopefully we're able to get some better pitching here this week. We'll see what comes of that. At least get some lengthy starts, hopefully from Freddie Peralta and Colin Rea. With Bryce Wilson on the mound tonight, not sure if it's going to be more of a bullpen day. He went 3 2/3 in that first spot start he had, and then 4 1/3 against the Pirates there last week. So hopefully we're able to get, maybe 5 innings out of him. I think would be great. I think Pat Murphy and the whole management team would be very happy to see him go 5 innings. And if he's able to go 5 innings, that likely means that he's having some success out there too. So hopefully we're able to see that from him here in this one tonight as the Brewers look to bounce back. So with that being said, Brew Pod Between the Lines podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and other mainstream podcast sites. So feel free to listen to this podcast from wherever it is you may like in the future. I can always be reached on social media using @brew_pod on Twitter or by searching Brew Pod Between the Lines podcast on Facebook or Instagram. Hopefully the Brewers are able to get back on track against the Tampa Bay Rays here to begin the week, kicking off that series here later tonight before an intriguing weekend series against Craig Counsell and the Chicago Cubs coming up this weekend. Going to be exciting to see. That rivalry always is an exciting matchup, but especially with Craig Counsell now being the manager of the Chicago Cubs, should be interesting and exciting to see the reunitement for some of our players with him and see how that series tails out here. And it's also, it very well could be that we go into this weekend where the division lead is still up in hands. Right now it's only a half-game lead for the Brewers. Could tip one way or the other before this weekend, and definitely could tip one way or the other by the end of the weekend following that series as well. So we will see what comes of that once those matchups take place. So, yeah, with that, we will see you guys next time. Talk to you soon. And, of course, go Brewers.